Tonight, where else could I start? Yes, you guessed it. Let's start tonight with the show in Birmingham. It's been called the Magnificent Seven, but there are a lot more than 7 fights on the bill. 1 or 2 have fallen out of bed, but it remains a standalone massive night of quality fights. There's a bit of everything, hours of it to be precise. Now, I saw Frank Warren, the night's promoter, and I asked him to go through the list.
Okay, Frank, listen, it's no good just asking you individually because you're probably going to miss and skip over most of the names, so I'm going to take it from the top, okay? Final eliminator for the WBO Light Heavyweight Championship of the World, 12 rounds of 3 minutes. Nathan Cleverly, unbeaten in 19 fights. Caro Moore, unbeaten in 22 fights. Go on, son, sell it to me.
Well, it sells itself, doesn't it? 2 unbeaten fighters there. What I believe is one of the best youngsters in the country. Won the British, European and Commonwealth title in quicker time than John Conte did. Let's hope he can do a world title fight. And this is a tough fight against Murat, but I believe he can do it.
What about after that? Does he get the title fight, or will you force them out so he gets a vacant title fight?
It's one. No, if he wins it and the other guy winds up in prison and loses his appeal, then he becomes champion. If the other guy wins his appeal, the German, then he has to fight him, which he will do in December. On my big show in December, that I'm doing my 30th anniversary.
In London?
In London, 30th anniversary of being a promoter.
Unbelievable. You don't look old enough to be 30 years in the business.
True. You
Start as a whippersnapper.
Yeah, I did. I was a child promoter.
Right, okay, let's move down. WBO Intercontinental Welterweight Championship. I'm not so keen on those titles, but this is a proper 12-rounder. Kell Brook against Michael Jennings. Should have happened a couple of times, but 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I like this one.
And it was going to be for the British title or something else. It's been, as you say, 3 or 4 times postponed. Kell Brook, everybody thinks he's one of the best young talents around. Michael Jennings, I think it's his toughest opponent yet. He's been there, done it all. He's 36'2".
Tough and hard.
Yeah, it's tough and hard. I think it's going to be his toughest fight. Jennings, I know, is training like you can't believe for this fight, as is Kell. You know, Kell come through this. He's ranked #1 by the WBO.
Pacquiao's going to move.
He moves up. He
bit of space.
So he can't afford to slip up.
We like this one. Okay, this is the one, vacant European, because Darren Barker's obviously injured his hip. This is Matthew Macklin, who's entertaining. He's never been in a bad fight, against the guy from Georgia, Shalva Joma Shadvlitsli. Never ever play Scrabble with him.
You beat me to it. You nicked my line. It's worth 180. I'm just going to do you with that one.
But listen, this is a dangerous opponent, and I don't like it. I tell you why I don't like replacement opponents, because you're training for Barker. It's a grudge fight. It's a big seller, and suddenly you've got some unknown in relative terms, Georgian. You can hit the floor. I think the thing with Matthew is he's got to lift himself again. I know he was very deflated when the other guy peeled out, but you know the show must go on, as we say, and that's what's going to happen. And it's a cracker. It's still a goodie, yeah.
Of course.
And also it's Matthew's hometown, because you know he lives about 5 minutes. He can walk. He's the only guy in the world that can walk to the what's it called? The arena. The LG.
Saved me a hotel room with him, because he's definitely put a bill in for.
No, don't let him put in a taxi bill. Now I like this one. This is the vacant European light middleweight. This is the sort of slightly controversial one. Ryan Rhodes, as we all thought, pulled out. Was a sort of, it was a bit annoying that injury.
Let me tell you what the truth is. I never ever had a medical certificate from him. We wrote to the to the EBU, for the European title, and said to them, we've not heard anything. We're only hearing snippets that he's been in the gym, he's not been in the gym, and cut a long story short, it's a liberty. We've got one guy training for the fight, the punters are buying tickets, and we know basically that it's not going to happen. So he could, if he'd have vacated the title, they would have made him the mandatory to fight the winner. He didn't do that, so they stripped him.
He had to wait a year. Now this guy, Czech Republic guy, Lucas Konecki, he's a tough guy, and he loves to fight hard. Yeah. And Matthew, I'm glad you rescued him.
He does deserve it. He does deserve it. He's shifted trainers now. He's now with Arnie Fennell, and
what a stable Arnie's got.
I know. And what a chance this is for Matthew. If he comes through and he wins it, let him make his first defence against Ryan.
Absolutely right. Now this is one of my favourites, Cruiserweight Championship of Europe. I'm a big fan of his. Big Enzo. You resurrected him. You sent him out to St. Petersburg. In fact, you look like you'd sold him up the river, son. Sold him up that big river, the Volga. Over there he was fighting a guy who was unbeaten, knocked everybody out, and he ended up squashing him in 19 seconds. Inspired that was. I bet you turned your phone off that night in case he got done. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
No, it's, look, I advised Enzo, as you know, to retire a while ago.
We both did, yeah.
And cut a long story short, we showed the faith in him. He's got himself back together again. But it's all going to be this is going to be an eliminator now, also for the WBA title.
And WBA, okay. Franco himself's unbeaten 70 knockouts.
Yeah, that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight for him.
In all fairness, there's a lot of good fights on it. There's not a lot of garbage here. In fact, there's no garbage in titles. Now this one I like particularly. Big Del, Chisora, you've got to love him. I don't care what people say. And Sam Sexton.
And I love him too.
Oh, what a cracking British and Commonwealth.
And it's a British and Commonwealth. Both of them had 13 fights apiece. only losses on Sam Sexton's side, which he actually lost to Derek Chisholm.
Run out of steam.
Yeah, run out of steam. They've both come on a bundle since then. They've had, you think about it, what they've done and what they've come through since then. Sexton goes to Ireland, fights Rogan twice in the other guy's backyard. Shows a lot of temperament and courage to do that. And Derek, in the meantime, marched on and is willing to fight anyone you put in front of him.
And he talk about sell a fight, that kid. Well, okay, James DeGale, MBE against Carl Dilks. Domestically, this is a cracker, this one. It's a cracking sort of eliminator title fight.
James only had 7 fights. He's in, how many times do you see guys that, after 7 fights in big, higher weight divisions, getting into eliminators? It just doesn't happen. So he's stepping up. He's into a 12-round fight in his 7th fight. Carl Dilks is a proud guy. He thinks he used the phrase he's going to banjo him.
He fancies it.
Well, he does fancy it. I fancy my man, but we'll see what happens. But it's another cracker.
Now, what about this one? Frankie Gavin, I think one of the most talented fighters out there, and he is a crackpot, Frank. I don't care what you say. You can try and be nice. He is a nut job, but he's a boxer and he's a fighter. And you know what? He's starting to bang people out. Against Michael Kelly, Irish kid. There's a lot of pride. The Irish titles brings out things in kids.
It does. And also, what it's done, which is really good, is he's changed his style, Frankie, because you think he's much of a counter-puncher. Now he's going out and he's taking guys on, he's throwing body shot. And I think what you say, I think he's one of the best young talents around. I do think that he can be, if he comes through this, let him off the leash.
And he's a baby as well. Okay, the final one of the one more Magnificent 7, vacant international masters bantamweight title. Local kid Don Broadhurst. I like Big Don. He's an honest pro. Former Commonwealth champion against Najat Ali, who's a lively kid. Okay, this is still a title fight, and Don's got a bit of comeback because that last time when he lost down in Bristol, stinkeroo.
It was a horrible fight to watch. Clash of styles, whatever way you want to look at it. It was a horrible fight, and up to then, Don's been involved in good fight. It takes 2 to make a fight. The other guy I don't think come to fight Don. I just think he done what he had to do and he done it effectively. But the bottom line is now, Don's got to resurrect his career. Tough fight, and as you say, Ali does come to fight.
Oh, he's all good, Brings a few fans. Now, if we'd have started at 6 o'clock like the show is, it would be about 4 a.m. now, so we're not finished yet, Sam, because I'm going to ask you quickly. I like this kid, Ronnie Efron, and I'm pleased. It would have been pointless him staying for the Olympics because his style doesn't suit. So you've got Ronnie Efron and Craig Evans, same with him. I like this kid, both dangerous. We're never going to be amateurs, but good amateurs, because their style didn't work.
And I think providing it's all about discipline and whatever. 2 exciting fighters. Ronnie Efron, I think he reminds me of a young Ricky Hatton.
Absolutely.
Craig Evans, he's all action style. He's like a whirlwind when he comes in. And don't forget Joe Selkirk from Liverpool, because Joe's a good fighter, quality fighter. I've got some. This is the best. I think this is the best showcase of British talent that when you think on the show that you've seen.
I think, as a final footnote, I think you've got 4 or 5 kids here, at least 4 or 5 kids here in the next 6 to 12 months could end up fighting for world titles.
Or being world champions.
3 to 4 or 5, and then British, so it works well.
That was Frank Warren talking to me last week at the James DeGale conference. I had to, just for those that listen, I pre-recorded that for the simple reason. You never know what's going to happen on a show. You never know if there's going to be something else on the show. And I wanted to make sure that I had Warren, Frank in the bag, talking about every fight on the bill. And that's what we managed to do. And that's